Okay, so last time we stopped at the concept of braking distance. So we drive this equation basically. So this is the equation for braking distance. Okay, SI means initial speed, SF means final speed. F is the skid resistance, which can be calculated as A upon G, where A is the deceleration rate, G is the gravity. Then we have capital G, which is the gradient. Upward is positive, downward is negative. So you have equations in two different units. Okay, the one on the left hand side is for where the speed should be in miles per hour. The one on the right hand side should be in meters, where the speed is in kilometers per hour. And the conversion factors are part of the equation. Moving on. Uh, Please mute your mics, please. Someone looks like to be in, seems like to be in a bird cage. Okay, so this example is about an accident where the vehicle hit the abutment of a bridge. Now, abutment means, let me do it myself. Okay, abutment means side or wall of the bridge. Okay, the side wall of the bridge. Okay, so bridges obviously have these side walls. They cannot be built without side walls, right? They cannot be open on the sides. So all bridges have abutments. So a vehicle hit abutment of a bridge. Okay, means the side of the bridge at a speed of 20 miles per hour. Now I don't know much details about it, so don't ask me for it. But they have a mechanism by which, or they have some methods by which they can calculate the speed of the vehicle at the time of impact by assessing the damage to the vehicle. So if you say a vehicle is damaged in this manner, they can estimate how much would have been the speed of the vehicle. So they use it at the time of vehicle testing. Okay, if you search on YouTube, you will find videos where these manufacturers, they do these experiments, how much damage will be caused to the vehicle at different speeds. Okay, so using those experiments, they have developed a method by which they can calculate the speed of the vehicle based upon the damage at the time of impact. So using those methods or calculations, they estimated the final speed of the vehicle to be 20 miles per hour. 20 miles per hour. Leading up to the accident location where the vehicle hit the abutment, they have found skid marks on the road. Skid marks on the road. What are skid marks? They are black marks created by the tires when you are pressing the brakes up to full extent. Okay, when you press the brake to the very bottom of the floor to the floor, then the vehicles the wheels jam immediately, but the vehicle is going along the motion, so it creates these black marks on the pavement, and it creates a very dramatic sound as well, ching, and so on. Okay, you must have heard it in movies, and I I hope you have not heard it in real life. Anyways, so these marks are created. So when these marks are created, that means up to the extent of the marks, the driver was trying to brake. This is very obvious. The marks are created because of the brakes. So whatever the length of the marks are, this is the braking distance. Okay. So they observed the marks of these skid marks. They were observed to be 100 feet on the pavement and 75 feet on the shoulder. Now let me try to give you an idea, a visual. So this is the abutment of the bridge. Okay, this is the shoulder. Okay, and there is grass surface here, and this is the pavement. So obviously the driver started to go from the pavement towards the abutment, right? So it covered some distance on the pavement, then it covered some distance on the shoulder, then it went on and hit the abutment. So while braking. So the distance which it created, the skid marks which it created on the pavement are 100 feet. The skid marks which is created on the shoulder is 75 feet. Okay, so that means from the point where the driver started to brake, he covered 100 feet on the pavement and then covered 75 feet on the shoulder and then went on and hit the abutment. Now you can see there are two F values given, skid resistance values given. Why 2? Because of the change in surface. Pavement obviously made up of asphalt. Shoulder, if it had been made up of asphalt, the F value could be same. Okay, so it depends upon the surface of the shoulder, which can be of loose sand or grass or whatever. So in that case, in this case, the pavement is made up of grass, but we know shoulders can be made up of asphalt as well. Okay, so in that case, the F value will remain the same. In any case, we have a different F value for the shoulder because of its different surface. There is no gradient, okay, on the pavement or on the shoulder. In both cases, there is no gradient, and they want the speed of the vehicle at the beginning of the skid marks. At the beginning of the skid marks, meaning the point at which the driver hit the brakes. The point at which the driver started pressing the brakes. They want the speed of the vehicle at that point. Okay. If I come here, so yeah, any question?
Yeah, the stop time, it will there is a different things can control that one. The good choke absorber, good brakes, if you have an anti-brake system, anti-lock brake system or not. So the stopping time will increase or decrease because that reasons. So how we can measure it if we don't know all that informations?
Yeah, good question. I have not seen any equation where the braking mechanism of the vehicle is taken into account. Okay,
So
now we don't we have ABS and so on. Yeah.
To know the vehicle speed, that's right or not?
Yeah, vehicle speed, yes. Speed is there in the equation, right? You can see the braking distance equation, the speed is there. Okay, so we can play with the speed. But the other things you have mentioned, for example, automated braking system, okay, or then we have the ABS, absolute braking system. Okay, so it may help you in stopping. Okay, but I haven't seen, maybe if you search, if you see something like this, you can let me know. Okay, but I haven't seen any equation for braking distance in which the braking system of the car is taken into account. Okay, so what I can say at this location, at this point, is we are considering F, and F has A as well, deceleration rate. Okay, so if the car has a more developed braking system, then you may change the value of F. You may change its deceleration rate, that it will decelerate faster than normal traditional braking systems. Okay, this is the only way in which I can think of by to incorporate the braking mechanism of the vehicle. Okay, but as far as the speed is concerned, the speed is there in the equation. Okay, we are using the speed to calculate the braking distance. Okay, and what you said, correction, we are not talking about the braking time. Okay, we are talking about the braking distance. How much distance is covered? Obviously, if it covered more distance, it will take more time as well, right? If it covered more distance, it will take more time as well. And there's already time taken into the derivation of the equation. When we were driving this equation, we already took the time into consideration. Okay, if you want to recalculate the time, go back to the basic equation where you can see the time as well. Okay, so okay, is it was it helpful or not?
It's helpful, but the only will be the majority of the suspension system. That's only what will be for the acceleration.
Yeah. Okay, because I haven't seen any equations for that up till now. Okay, and in any book in which this thing is taken into account. Okay, moving on. So f values are given. In the question they said no gradient, so G is 0. It's a level surface. They have given me a value of 20 miles per hour at the time when the car hit the abutment of the bridge. When the car hit the abutment of the bridge, the value is given as 20 miles per hour. Now, which value is that? SI or SF? Yeah. Which value is that? SI or SF? 20 miles per hour is SF. Yes, SF. Okay. Now, what about dB? So we are trying to find out initial speed, right? We are trying to find out initial speed. What is dB now? What should I put as dB? Coming back to the question. So this is a question in front of you. What should I put as dB? There are two distances given, right? 100 feet and 75 feet. Should I add them together? 175 feet? Should I put only 100 feet? Should I put 75 feet? What? 175 feet, 100 feet, 175 feet. 1 times 75 feet, then 100. Yes. Yes. Some of you are right. Yeah. So yes, because of two different f values. Yes, you are correct. Okay. So some of you got the idea. This 20 miles per hour is the final speed for the shoulder. Okay, because the abutment was on the side of the shoulder. So 20 miles per hour is the final speed for the shoulder. Okay, so the distance should be taken for the shoulder. Okay, the distance should be taken for the shoulder. You can combine 75 feet and 100 feet together and take 175 feet if only if the surfaces were same. Okay, the surface, the gradient, everything, if everything was same about them, about the pavement and the shoulder, then you could have combined these two values into a single value. Okay, and use 175 feet as the braking distance, because the total braking distance is how much? The total braking distance is 175 feet, but it is covered on two different surfaces. So when you are taking 20 miles per hour as the speed, the final speed, which is on the shoulder, then you have to use the distance of the shoulder and the f for the shoulder. Okay, so let me do something here. So I will create a notebook now. So later on, when we are doing examples and problems, it will be in the notebook. Whatever working we are doing in the class, it will be in the notebook, and later on you can see it. It just takes few seconds to set up for the first time. So just bear with me.
So now, as this majority, we will take it as a linear equation. Is that right? For the road deflection and the stopping time and like that.
Stopping time is not included. Yeah, a linear equation. Yes.
But, we need only the stopping time to know, or not time, the stopping distance.
Distance.
The stopping distance to know the speed of. So we will calculate it by the linear equation.
Which linear equation?
I understand. So it's linear, not. We don't consider anything. Have as مثلا ABS like that, something to help.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah.
But the equation is not linear. The
consider,
equation is second degree. There's a speed square.
yeah,
The equation is not
you
linear.
can get the point. If it's linear, so 1 + 1 = 2. So like that, it's we have an constant fractions.
Yeah. Yes. In that sense, yes. So I'm trying to find out the initial speed. This is square. Final speed, as you said, 20 square divided by 30 times. The equation has f plus minus g, but there is no gradient, so g is 0, so it will be 30 into f. Okay, 30 into f, and the f for the shoulder is 0.25. How much is this? (31 miles per hour). Okay, fine. So this is the speed at the start of the shoulder. So this is the speed at the end of the pavement. The start of the shoulder means end of the pavement, right? So now you can use this value as the final speed for the pavement, and you can calculate the initial speed for the pavement. Okay, so the distance will change. Obviously, the distance covered during braking on the pavement is 100 feet, and the f value will be this much. Remain the same values. This is 31, and the f for the pavement. Okay, so how much is this? I keep on forgetting that I have to 44. Yes. Why did we put 31 as SF? Because now we are on the pavement, right? Mariam, now we are on the pavement. So when the car entered the shoulder, it was traveling at 31 miles per hour. So when the car left the pavement, 31 miles per hour, it left the pavement, entered the shoulder, right? So you said initial speed on the shoulder is 31. So that becomes the final speed for the pavement. Okay, we have pavement, shoulder, and then the abutment. Okay, great. So this is 44.8 miles per hour. Okay, now like I said, we will be doing our own what if series, right? After Marvel. So this is the accident. Okay, so let's say in this example, they reverse it. Okay, let's say that in this example, they reverse it. They tell me that the driver, when the driver started to brake, his speed was, for example, 45 miles per hour. Okay, they already tell me that when the driver started to brake, his speed was 45 miles per hour. And now they want to know, they don't have a mechanism to calculate the final speed of the vehicle, so they want me to answer that. What is the final speed of the vehicle when it hit the abutment? Okay, so obviously it's just a matter of reversing the problem, right? We are reversing the problem. Instead of SF, we are finding out instead of SI, we are finding out SF. Okay, so now you will start from here. You start from here. So this will remain the same. If they don't change the distance will remain the same. Okay, but now let's say this is given. Okay, and I'm trying to find out this. Okay, so in this case, the problem will reverse. Okay, if they gave you the initial speed, the problem will reverse. So now you start from pavement because the speed is given for the pavement. Okay, and then you will find out SF. Okay, and then do the same thing. Then from then onwards you will start for the, after finding out the SF you will find out the speed for the shoulder. Okay, so then you will apply the equation to the shoulder. Okay, so whatever SF you found from there, call it SF dash for the shoulder then, and then 30 into 0.2. You can quickly calculate these values. You can let me know. I will write it here for the others. Okay, otherwise you have the equation. You just need to insert the values, right? There's no, there should not be any problem here. Okay, did you get the concept? Okay, did you understand the concept? Are there any questions? Any questions? No questions? Okay, I leave it up to you. This is in the notebook. You can calculate the values. Okay. Moving on. Okay, now we come to the concept of total stopping distance. Total stopping distance. Total stopping distance is the distance calculated from the time you note something requiring stopping to the time when the car completely stops. Total stopping distance is the distance measured from the point when the driver notes something which requires attention or which requires to be stopped or which requires his stopping till the time when the car completely stopped. Okay, so this total distance is known as total stopping distance. Okay, when you see something, so obviously when you are stopping, you are braking. So braking distance is part of stopping distance. Braking distance is part of stopping distance. It's not the total stopping distance. One thing. Secondly, what else is stopping distance? When you look at something, you will process in your mind what you have to do. Okay, you will process in your mind what you have to do. If it's a signal, you will see what light of the signal is on, how much distance is between you and the signal, and you will decide at a later stage that I have to stop, and then you put your foot on the brake. What did we call this process when you are thinking that you have to stop? What did we call it? When you look at something and you start thinking, I need to stop, what do you call this process of thinking? Perception reaction process. Time is the time you take in the process. Okay, time is the time you take in the perception reaction process, but it is a perception reaction process. Okay, so we need to add the distance covered during perception reaction process into the braking distance to get total stopping distance. Okay, we need to add the distance covered during perception reaction time with the braking distance to get total stopping distance. Okay, so braking is just for braking when your foot is already on the brake and the car is stopping. That is braking distance. But before you put your foot on the brake, you must have thought about it. You must have taken the decision and so on and so forth. So you have to add it in the braking distance to get the total stopping distance. Okay, and this is what you see in this equation. So this is the braking distance equation. We already know about it. This is the perception reaction distance. 1.47 S into T. Okay, so S into T is distance. Speed into time is distance. Speed, initial speed. When you are thinking, you are at your initial speed. Time is perception reaction time, PRT. Okay, perception reaction time. I already showed you a table for recommended values of perception reaction time last week. Okay, the slides are already uploaded. You can go and have a look about what I'm saying. Perception reaction time. There's a table which I showed you. Okay, what is this 1.47? S into T will give you distance, right? And we already have the equation for braking distance here. So there's no confusion up till here. What is this 1.47? What is this doing here? Yeah. 1.47, this equation. What is it? Conversion factor, yes. This is the conversion factor. The speed is in miles per hour and the distance, and we are converting it to feet per second. Okay, the distance is in miles per hour. We are converting into feet per second. So this is the conversion factor, yes. Miles per hour to feet per second, yes. And if you are talking about kilometers per hour to meter per second, this is the conversion factor. From kilometers per hour to meter per second, this is the conversion factor. Okay, and obviously the braking distance equation is also from the same unit system. So if the conversion is to feet, then the braking distance also is in feet. And if you are using the conversion factor in meters, then the conversion factor is also in meter. The braking distance also in meters. Okay. One more thing which you can see here, 0.348. This is supposed to be F, skid resistance. It is supposed to be F, skid resistance. But this is written here as 0.348. Why? Because of this thing. Okay, F is A upon G, where G is the deceleration rate. I told you in the previous class, there is a AASHTO recommended deceleration rate. Okay, which is I think how much? 11.2. Yeah, 11.2 in feet and 3.41 in meters. Okay, 11.2 feet or 3.41 meters. So if you are using AASHTO recommended value of deceleration rate, okay, then you do A upon G. We already know the value of G. G is a constant. Okay, gravity. So it becomes 0.348. So you see F replaced with 0.348. When we will replace it? When we are using the AASHTO recommended value of deceleration rate. Okay, when you are using the AASHTO recommended value of deceleration rate, then you can change it in this manner. Okay, F value can be replaced with a constant value 0.348. One question here, 0.348 when the equation is in feet, 0.348 when the equation is in meters as well. Why? Is this a mistake? Should it be changed? Why is it same? It is the same ratio, yeah, ratio, because it's a ratio. Okay, because it's a ratio. So obviously if you are taking deceleration rate in meter, then you are taking gravity in meter as well. It's A upon G, right? So that's why the ratio will not change. You are not only changing A, you are also changing G as well. Okay, so that's why it didn't change. Okay, yes. 0.35 you can use it, Mariam, no problem. 0.35 can be used, no problem. It will not make a big difference. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we have this problem here. The driver is traveling at 65 miles per hour and he comes around the curve. Level gradient means again zero gradient. Level means again zero gradient. Okay, he sees a truck overturned. Overturned means what? It's on the on the ground. Okay, like fallen on the ground. So a truck is overturned on the ground at a distance of 350 feet. When he sees the truck, the distance between him and the truck is 350 feet. Okay, the driver is decelerating at a rate of 10 feet per square second. So this is less than what the recommended value is, right? This is less than the recommended value. So maybe he did not think that he has to slow down so urgently. So he has to like stop so urgently. Okay, so maybe because of that he was slowing down at a lower rate. Okay, at what speed the vehicle will hit the truck? We want to again find out the final speed. Okay, so the example which I was trying to give you previously, they are now asking for that. Okay, the initial is given, they are trying to find out the final. The difference between that accident example, the one with the abutment, and this one, what is the difference? Here we will use total stopping distance, not the braking distance. In the previous example, we use the braking distance, right? The one with the skid marks, we use the braking distance. Here we will use total stopping distance. Okay, why? The reason is, in that example, the skid marks are given. The skid marks are created when the driver has already hit the brakes, when the driver has already pushed the brakes. At what time he started thinking, that was not given. Okay, but in this example, the distance is given from the time when he sees the truck. So obviously when he sees the truck, he will spend some time in thinking as well. Okay, so then we will use total stopping distance, because now we need to add perception reaction distance as well. You need to add perception reaction process as well. So this is the difference between this one and the previous one. So don't get confused in the end that why we are using braking distance here, total stopping distance here, because in this example, the distance is given from a point when he sees the truck, not from the point when his foot is on the brake. Okay, so this is the main difference. Okay, so we have the total stopping distance equation here. Initial speed 65 miles per hour. T is taken as 2.5 seconds. How did we take this value? AASHTO recommended standard value. It's an AASHTO recommended standard value. Want to have a look at other standard values for PRT, perception reaction time? Go back to the table from the previous slides. Okay, so the table is given for different conditions, what value at the signal, what value at urban roads, rural roads. Okay, this is the most commonly taken value, which is for normal conditions. Normal stopping on a highway, 2.5 seconds perception reaction time. Okay, so 65 again. SF we are trying to find out. Level terrain, so G is put as 0, capital G is put as 0, and F, now you can see here I'm not using 0.348. Okay, why? Because the deceleration is different. It is different than what AASHTO was saying. So 0.348 is only for that particular value. Okay, so now we know F equals to A upon G. So instead of putting 0.348, I will put the ratio. Calculate the ratio myself. So SF comes out to be 56.48 miles per hour. So you can imagine somebody hitting a truck, a car hitting a truck at 56.48 miles per hour. That is very close to 100 kilometers per hour. This is very close to 100 kilometers per hour. So you can imagine what will happen to him. Okay, so you can pray for that guy. Okay, there's no hope for him, only prayers. Okay, now again, let me say what can happen, what will change if in this example they were asking me to calculate what should be the speed on the curve. How much speed on the curve should be allowed if the distance is up to this much. If a distance of 350 feet is available on the curve, okay, then how much speed should be allowed on the curve? Okay, or let me rephrase it, because we are going to do another example later on about the final speed. So let me give you another variation. Let us say they ask us how much distance should be available on the curve to the driver to see in order to stop safely if he is traveling at 65 miles per hour. How much distance should be available to the driver on the curve so that traveling at 65 miles per hour he can stop safely. Okay, so in this case 350 is not there. You are calculating the distance yourself. Okay, so where is it? Yeah. Okay, so we are calculating D 1.47 into S, which is 65 into 2.5, the reaction time. So what about SF? Tell me, what will happen to SF? If initial speed 65 miles per hour, final speed how much? 0. Yeah, because we are talking about stopping. Yeah, so 0. So 0. into F. So for F, 10 divided by 32.2. So I'm still taking the same driver who was decelerating slowly. Okay, and it's the same terrain, no gradient, so 0. How much is the distance here? Can you calculate quickly? $694. Okay. Okay, so this is a variation. So in this, you can see that you are calculating d instead of speed, and your final speed becomes 0. Okay, so okay, now this, the last part of what I was trying to explain in the previous example, brings us to the concept of safe stopping sight distance. Safe stopping sight distance. So total stopping distance, stopping sight distance. What is the change here? The word sight. Okay, the availability, the visibility of the distance. Okay, so the distance, the sight distance available to the driver, the sight distance available to the driver on all roadway sections must be equal or more than total stopping distance. The sight distance available to the driver, the visibility of the driver on the roads, all types of roads, should be equal or more than total stopping distance required by him. Okay, this is minimum safety requirements. Like we have seen in the previous case, the one with the truck for which you calculated the distance available according to the example given, the distance available was 350 feet. So the driver, if he sees a truck in front of him or anything in front of him, he will go on and hit that thing because the sight distance is not equal to total stopping distance. The sight distance should have been what? What you calculated just now, 694 feet. This should have been the sight distance, right? On this curve, when the driver is coming at 65 miles per hour, this must be the sight distance, 694 feet. It is not available, so the driver went on and hit the truck at 56 miles per hour, more than 56 miles per hour. So that's why the sight distance must be considered, and this is how it is calculated. So for example, we have a rural freeway which has a design speed of 70 miles per hour, level terrain, so gradient 0. They are trying to find out what safe stopping distance must be provided. So provided means what? It must be the sight distance. Okay, so there's a required distance and there's a sight distance, available distance. Okay, ideally they should be equal or the sight distance should be more ideally. Okay, so here they are saying what should be equation for total stopping distance will be used. Final speed of 0 we already know because we are talking about stopping, and use S2 recommended reaction time 2.5 seconds. Okay, so in this case it's very simple. You are using the same equation, right? You're using the same equation. Change will be the speed is given as 70, and I don't have to do this, right? I don't have to do this. I can simply take 0.348. Okay, because now it's a design problem, right? It's a design problem. This one will be 70 as well. It's a design problem, so I can use S2 recommended value, right? In the previous example, they were talking about a specific driver. Here, it's not mentioned. Okay, here it's not mentioned what type of driver I'm talking about. So I will simply take A by G, which is the S2 recommended value. Okay, so I'm assuming here what? I'm assuming that A is 11.2 feet per square seconds or 3.41 meter per square seconds. Okay, so you can calculate this distance, right? No problem. Any questions, any problems, let me know. Clear? Okay. Another example, driver must slow down from 60 to 40 miles per hour to negotiate a severe curve. So there is a very sharp curve on the highway for which to go along the curve, the driver must reduce the speed. So you can see another variation of the truck example, maybe the example of the truck. The driver, in that example, we were saying the driver will not change the speed unless he sees something in front of him. In this example, we are saying we will change the design speed of the road from 60 to 40. Okay, we already know the side distance of the curve is not enough. Going on the curve at 60 miles per hour will be dangerous. So what we should do? Inform the driver, lower down the speed. We inform the driver to lower down the speed. How much? From 60 to 40 miles per hour. Okay. Okay, now in this problem we are looking at how should we inform the driver. Okay, so he should be informed with a warning sign. He will be informed with a warning sign. Okay, so this warning sign, let me make it here for you. So this is the curve. There's a warning sign, and this is the driver. Okay, at this point his speed is 60. Now, according to the design of the sign, it is designed to be visible from a distance of 120 feet. So when the driver sees the sign, his distance from the sign is 120 feet. Okay, his speed is 60, and at that time he is 120 feet ahead of the sign. Okay, now this sign must be placed before the curve, right? This sign must be placed before the curve. Okay, so let's say this is the start of the curve. Now they are asking how much should be this distance. How much should be this distance? The distance between the sign and the curve. Okay, now so we want to know how far in advance of the curve the sign should be placed. From the driver, when he is 60, when he enters the curve, his speed should turn to 40, right? His speed should turn from 60 to 40. Okay, so how much distance is required to go from 60 to 40? I can calculate it using the stopping distance equation. Okay, again, why I'm using a stopping distance equation? Why not braking distance? Because I am saying that he will go from 60 to 40 in response to the sign. So when he sees the sign, he will try to process it, what the sign is saying, then he will decide he has to slow down. So it will take some time for perception reaction. Okay, so like I said previously, when you are calculating the distance from the point where you see an object, there should be the total stopping distance, not the braking distance. Okay, so in this case, he sees the sign from 120 feet and he will then start to think and to stop. So we will use the total stopping distance equation. Okay, so this is the total stopping distance equation. T is normal 2.5 seconds. SI initial speed 60. SF final speed 40. 0.348 because they are saying use recommended deceleration rate and reaction times. Okay, so this is according to recommended value. G gradient is not given, so it is assumed that it is 0. It is assumed that it is 0. So G is 0. So you have this final equation. The distance to go from 60 to 40 miles per hour is 411 feet. 411 feet. The point where he sees the sign, he is already 120 feet away from the sign. To go from this point to the start of the curve, he needs 411 feet so that he can reduce the speed from 60 to 40. From this point, when he sees the sign, till he goes to the start of the curve, he must have 411 feet so that he can safely reduce the speed from 60 to 40. Okay. At this point, his distance from the sign is already 120 feet. So whatever is the remaining distance will be the distance from the sign to the curve. Okay. So 120 feet is the distance between the driver and the sign, and the remaining is the distance between the sign and the curve. So the sign should be 290 feet in front of the curve so that the driver can slow down and stop. Slow down safely. Okay, when he enters the curve, if the sign is placed 291 feet before the curve, you are giving enough time for the driver to go from 60 to 40 miles per hour when he enters the curve. Okay. Any question in this solution? Okay. Again, otherwise I will tell you the variation. What can be the variation here? Any question in this one? Clear? Okay. So speed sign example. Okay, what can be the variation? Let's say they are telling me that we will place the sign, let's say 4 or let's say 300 feet before the curve. Sign will be placed 300 feet before the curve. Visible at 120 feet. I'm not changing this value for the run. Okay, the sign is already there. Now they are asking me speed on the curve. What should I change? What should I change? I'll use the same equation, right? The initial speed is 60. What about this one? Final speed. This is the speed they want, right? So it will be, this is what we are trying to find out. What about D? How much is D? 420 feet, right? 300 plus 120. Okay, so in this manner, the example can be reversed. Okay, so again, you have the equation. You can calculate SF here, and you can, I don't know, you can try writing it here. Okay, let me know if you can write it here, even after the class. Okay, any questions on what we did today? Any questions? Any problems? Clear? Everything is clear? Okay, anyone who has not made his term project group yet, raise your hand. Anyone who has not been able to make his or her term project group yet, raise your hand. Anyone? Abir. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else who has not made his term project group yet? Okay. Abir, there's another student from the other section. I will give you his ID as well. You can contact him. He's a boy. I don't know whether you can work together or not. Anyways, if anyone wants to join, Abir with the group, if there are 2 members in the group, you can join Abir with you. If you are 2 members in the group, you can join Abir with you. Abir, you can check the submissions in the folder which I created in the Teams. Okay. If there are 2 members in the group, you can ask them. If you like anybody who is a 2-member group, you like their members, you can ask them to join you. Okay. People who have already made the group, if you are 2 members, joining her will not harm you in terms of work, and I believe Abir will do good work. Okay, Abir, I'm trying to guarantee for you. Okay, don't make me embarrassed. Okay, so if you join Abir, your work will not increase, but you will have another extra student to work with, another extra set of hands to work with. Okay, so you can do it like this. Okay, Abir, anyways, I will give you the ID of the student who has not made the group yet. In our WhatsApp groups, the Wired, I announced it in the previous section as well. I'm announcing it right now as well. They are not telling me. What can I do? Okay, you have to either, I also said, if you want to post it directly in the team, you can do that. Okay, so if there are people who are posting in the groups and then you are not joining hands together, you are losing losing time. You're losing time. Okay, so people who have not made the groups and still they are thinking, what should I do? Okay, I cannot help you. Okay, I'm trying to be as helpful as I can. Okay, so like I said, students who have already made the groups, you can also add Abir, or there's another student from the other section, his name is Abdullah. You can add him or her in your group, and you will have an extra set of hands to work with. Okay, it will not increase your project group work. Okay, so again, just suggestions from me. I'm not forcing anybody to take anybody in the group. Okay, it's in your own benefit. So thank you for listening to me. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for participating in the class. I'll see you guys tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, have a nice day. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, you are welcome.